Welcome everybody to a brand new video. So today I felt like making a video about hip-hop. Not about hip-hop in general, but in relation to one of, if not my favorite rappers ever. Today we're going to be talking about Eminem, but not specifically about Eminem too much, but his fan base. The quote-unquote stans. This is a video that I've been thinking of making for a while, but before making it, I wanted to really think about what I wanted to say in this video, and really think it through before I made it. In this video, I'm not going to be talking about passionate Eminem fans. I want to make the distinction very early in this video that there is a difference between a passionate fan and someone who is a complete stan. For some reason throughout this entire year, being a quote-unquote stan has become synonymous with being a passionate fan, and people sort of mix the two up a little bit. In my opinion, this is kind of bad. I don't think being a stan should be seen as a positive, and it's not something to brag about. And I know that I titled this video A Message to Eminem Stans, but this pretty much goes for any artist that you are a stan of. I'm specifically talking about Eminem though because it's something that I've sort of reflected on myself, seeing as I am such a passionate Eminem fan. In my personal opinion, and I've said this before in videos that I talk about Eminem, I think Eminem is the greatest rapper to have ever lived. However, a lot of other people do not agree, do not think Eminem is the greatest of all time, and I understand why. His discography has been really hit or miss. You have Encore, Relapse, Revival, and a lot of people think Kamikaze was pretty bad as well, and I understand why people wouldn't say that Eminem is the greatest rapper of all time. They would go for someone like Tupac or Biggie or Andre 3000, maybe Nas, Jay-Z, you know who I'm talking about. And as bad as some of Eminem's discography is, my personal way of ranking the greatest rapper of all time, and I know that a lot of people don't follow in the same footsteps, my personal way of ranking who the greatest rapper of all time is I go off of their best work, and in my personal opinion, Eminem's best work is either the Slim Shady LP, the Marshall Mathers LP, or the Eminem Show. A lot of people agree that those are his three staple albums, and some of the greatest albums in hip-hop history. Even if you're not a big Eminem fan, most people will be able to agree that those are seriously incredible albums. Personally, I would lean towards the Marshall Mathers LP being the greatest rap album of all time, and I know that a lot of people won't agree with that, and that's completely fine. Maybe you think Section 80, or To Pimp a Butterfly, or Good Kid, Mad City, or any fantastic albums from other rappers. Maybe something from Wu-Tang, or from Biggie, or from Pac, Andre 3000, all the people I said earlier. And personally, I don't really see anything wrong with thinking like that. But what I want to address in this video is people who are so incredibly in love with Eminem that whenever somebody has a different opinion, they have to make sure they let the other people know that their opinion is wrong. And I'm not going to lie, I'm guilty of this myself. Only recently have I gotten out of the phase of being a quote-unquote Eminem stan. I can't exactly pinpoint where it started to change, but I do have a good feeling. I feel like it's when I first started listening to Death Grips, once I came across The Money Store. That was the first time I had ever really listened to something out of my comfort zone, out of the norm, and lo and behold, it's my favorite album of all time. Haha, you thought I was gonna say the Marshall Mathers LP or any Eminem album was gonna be my favorite of all time. No, it's actually The Money Store by Death Grips. However, even though I love that album so much and it's my favorite, I still wouldn't say that it's the best rap album of all time. And while it's not really a traditional hip-hop album, it does have its roots in hip-hop, which to me still sort of signifies that it's a hip-hop album. But just because it's my favorite doesn't mean that I would say it's the best. I still feel that the Marshall Mathers LP is the greatest rap album of all time. And seeing as this is a message to the Eminem stans, I want to use myself as an example to maybe help you and better you as a person. I'm not trying to tell you how to think or what to say, etc., but I am trying to sort of use myself as an example, as I said, to change the way you look at Eminem, your favorite artist, or just your favorite artist in general. It doesn't have to be Eminem. Yes, a lot of people don't agree that Eminem is the greatest rapper of all time, and that's completely fine. However, I feel like a lot of the people who are so vocal about their opinions of why Eminem is bad, why Eminem is not the greatest of all time, I feel like the majority of those people are saying it because In all honesty, the Eminem fan base are really fucking toxic at times. We are widely regarded as the worst fan base out there, and I wouldn't exactly say we're the worst, but we can be pretty bad at times. So I can totally understand where they're coming from. It's probably annoying as hell whenever you talk about some of the potential best rappers of all time. There's always that one person who's like, Eminem, Eminem, Eminem. And listen, I'm not saying that it's bad to believe that Eminem is the greatest of all time. I personally believe that as well. There's nothing wrong with having that opinion, but it's about how you go about expressing that opinion rather than the opinion itself. I truly believe that if you were more open-minded to other people's opinions, you would actually be listened to more. Yes, there's always going to be people who are mean and who aren't going to listen to you no matter what. I completely understand that. But all I'm going to say is that if you want to sway somebody, if you want to convince somebody of an argument you're trying to make, you are not going to do so by being a dick. You're not going to do so by calling somebody a faggot in a public forum because they don't believe Eminem is top 5. I personally believe it's complete absurdity to not put Eminem in your top 5, but I'm not going to sit here and argue with people on the internet about their differing opinions. It's a waste of my time, and honestly, if you're doing it too, it's a waste of your time. I truly believe that some people dislike Eminem not because of his music, but because of the fan base. What I would advise to you if you are an Eminem stan and you're so vocal about the opinion that Eminem is the greatest rapper of all time, and you find that you just wince at other people who disagree with you, my biggest piece of advice to you, and I know this is a big shocker, the best thing you can do is just fucking ignore them. If you don't agree, you don't have to get into an argument with someone online because they have an opposing opinion. There are people who will hate on Eminem simply because it's the cool thing to do. And so what you have to do in those situations when you find that someone is saying something that you don't agree with, just let them have their opinion, dude. I promise that if the Eminem fan base wasn't as toxic as it is, Eminem wouldn't be getting shit on nearly as much as he is at the moment. As I said, people hate more on the fan base than they do on his actual music. Yes, absolutely, Eminem has had some low points in his career, specifically Revival. And if you like Revival, that's fine, but don't get mad at other people for saying that Revival was shit. I personally thought Revival was Eminem's worst album, and while there were moments on that album that I enjoyed, there were a lot of moments that I really just hated, and I wish they never happened. Also, another piece of advice I can give you is don't be so biased. I understand that it's difficult, and me, myself, I'm always going to be biased to Eminem as well, because he's my favorite rapper of all time, but try your absolute best to see other people's arguments. When someone says that Eminem is garbage, listen to why they're saying that. Don't just immediately defend whatever Eminem has done. If someone says Revival is garbage, don't immediately go and defend it. Listen to why the person thinks the album is garbage. You can still disagree with them, of course, but you just don't have to be so vocal about your opinion, because that's how you get people to dislike you, and that's exactly why people don't like Eminem. Anyway, pretty much on to the final piece of advice I could give you as an Eminem fan. If you're having troubles just accepting what other people are saying, try and diversify your music taste a little bit, because I can't lie, the majority of Eminem fans, or a lot of them, maybe I shouldn't say majority because I don't exactly know every single person who listens to Eminem, but I can definitely imagine that a lot of these people who are trying to make the argument that Eminem is the greatest of all time and they simply won't listen to what other people are saying, I can imagine that they listen to a very limited amount of hip-hop. Oh well, my lighting just went out. I guess I'm gonna have to record this video in the darkness. I can imagine that a lot of people who listen to Eminem listen to a very small portion of hip-hop. I would definitely recommend you listen to someone like Kendrick Lamar. You listen to Death Grips even. Try and listen to something different, because if you're trying to argue the point that Eminem is the greatest rapper of all time, but he's really all that you listen to, how can you say for sure that that is true? Personally, I have been trying to diversify my music taste a little bit ever since I listened to The Money Store, listening to other hip-hop artists, not just Eminem and the few others that I listened to before that. In doing so, you come off less biased because you actually listen to other artists, and now saying that Eminem is the greatest of all time and personally saying that the Marshall Mathers LP is probably the greatest hip-hop album of all time, I sound a little bit less biased because I have listened to other artists. Now, of course, my music taste isn't nearly as diversified as other people, but I have listened to artists like Earl Sweatshirt, Death Grips, Kendrick Lamar. I'm really thinking of looking into people like Danny Brown, and fuck, I've been even listening to a few mumble rappers. Instead of being one of those people who's just like, oh, fuck mumble rap, actually listen to it. Try and see the appeal with it, and if you don't like it, that's fine, but at least understand why other people do. I even feel that Eminem is a little bit guilty of this. I feel like he shouldn't be discriminating against other artists as much as he did on Kamikaze. While yes, I don't like a lot of quote-unquote mumble rap, I can understand why some people do. Do I think that the music is dumbed down to hell? Yeah, I do, but I'm not going to hate on someone else just because they have a different taste. Being more accepting of other people's opinions will encourage them to be more accepting of yours. If you still believe that Eminem is the greatest of all time after you have listened to what other people have to say, and once you've actually expanded your music taste a little bit, people are more inclined to listen to you because they understand where you're coming from. I feel like so many Eminem stans just cannot accept the fact that Eminem might not be the greatest of all time and that other people have opposing opinions. Personally, I have been listening to other artists and I still believe that Eminem is the greatest of all time, but at least now that I have listened to other artists, I don't come off as biased as before. Yes, people will still disagree with me, and that's fine, but it's something that you need to get acquainted with, is having an open mind. If somebody disagrees with you, that's completely fine. You need to learn to just accept that and move on. Yes, there will always be people who are not going to take this advice and use it against you as well. There will always be people who, as soon as you state the fact that Eminem is the greatest of all time, and that's your opinion, they will completely shit on you and dig you into the ground. And that's unfortunate, but you just kind of have to take it on the chin and just be the bigger man. I totally understand why you're so passionate about Eminem. I am too. I fucking love his discography. I even love some of the things that other people didn't like Recovery. I love Recovery. I think it's one of Eminem's greatest albums, but a lot of people don't agree. A lot of people think it's a terrible album, and you know what? That's fine. I get why people don't like a poppy Eminem. Personally, I like it. It rubs me the right way, but understand that it doesn't rub other people in the same way that it rubs you. I'm saying rubbing a lot. It sounds wrong now. Before I wrap this video up, I want to make it very clear. I still believe Eminem is the greatest rapper of all time, and he is my personal favorite rapper. But that doesn't mean that I'm just going to stay closed-minded and just ignore what other people are saying about Kendrick Lamar and Pusha T and all these other artists. If you've never listened to them, how can you be convinced that they're not better than Eminem? You need to at least give them a chance, and if you still believe what you believe after that, that's completely fine. I was wondering to myself, after I listened to Kendrick Lamar, will I agree that he's the greatest rapper of all time and that he's the one person who can dethrone Eminem? I do think he is the one person that can dethrone Eminem in being the greatest of all time, but so far, he hasn't done it yet, but I do think he is the closest. And you would really be surprised. When you find other artists, you'll be surprised to how many of them actually come as close as your favorite rapper. And you'll be happy that you gave him a chance because you just found some amazing music. I listen to so much more Kendrick Lamar now. I listen to so much more Death Grips. Oh my god, I listen to an unhealthy amount of Death Grips actually. You can only benefit yourself by being more open-minded, giving other artists a try, and that doesn't mean that you have to give up on Eminem. Just because you listen to other artists doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're an Eminem hater. I feel like a lot of Eminem stans see it like that if you listen to another artist, you must be a hater. You must not like Eminem. I know that most people don't think like this, but you'd be surprised at how toxic some people can get about Eminem. And I get it, you know, biggest selling artist of the 2000s. He is the most successful rapper of all time in terms of numbers when we talk facts. Listen, everybody knows that. I'm sure you have written paragraphs about it when replying to someone on the internet. But at least look at what other people have accomplished, because they have definitely accomplished a lot as well. But anyway, I've talked enough about this, and I'm very passionate about Eminem and hip-hop in general, but I just felt like this video had to be made. I felt like somebody had to say it as an Eminem fan, as somebody who has been there before. I used to be the type of person who just would not accept somebody else's opinion, and I would argue you into the ground on why he's the best. But now, I just don't even bother. If you think differently, that's fine. It takes a lot of willpower, and I definitely get annoyed when I see these opinions, but I don't argue with it because you're just gonna make the whole situation worse. But yeah, whatever. I'm gonna wrap this video up here. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you smack the like button. If you want to stay up to date with my content, please be sure to subscribe. I'll have my last video in the corner. If you haven't checked that out already, definitely make sure to check it out. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.